Hello, Yakri here with another Warframe video. This time I'm here to answer one simple question. What makes Nidus so great? Well, it's really hard to pick a single thing with Nidus. I feel I'm kind of obligated to extol this frame's virtues, as it's quite possibly the best designed Warframe in the entire game. There are a couple others that are good competition, but he's at least in like a solid top 3 position. The whole frame is designed really well. All of his abilities are useful. His passive is extremely good, and he makes a really good addition to the no-shield Warframes. Of course, shields being rather bad in Warframe, that kind of inherently makes him pretty good at the game. Gosh, where to start here? In keeping with the rest of these videos, let's just keep it short and sweet. I think his first ability is his most useful one, and probably my favorite in terms of its design. I mean, it's simple, don't get me wrong, and perhaps my favorite overall is Ravenous, just because the little maggots are so cute. But yeah, Virulence kind of takes the cake because it's a Warframe 1 ability, and a type of an ability, or the slot of ability that's generally considered very useful, and this is like a blueprint, I think, for what every Warframe 1 ability should aspire to be at the very least. I certainly think it's also okay for some Warframe 1s to be more akin to the ultimate ability of the frame, like with Saren's Spores. That's not totally a bad thing. It's more, the cost is more determined by whether or not it's an ability that you ought to be like spamming, not how important it should be, I think. And it's just kind of my opinion from a design perspective. But here's the thing with Virulence. It's just got everything going for it. It's a skill shot, right? So it's a line attack, so you have to aim it. That's a good point in its favor. It's very effective with that. The base damage is not that high, but it scales with your passive, and the actual damage it deals is insanely high, and it stays very effective up through all of the content that exists in the game that you're actually supposed to be like normally doing. And that means Sortie 3 is like the end game, right? And we're talking like the highest level enemies you see in Sortie 3, that's all that matters. Anything below that is gravy. If you can get up to that point, you're golden. You can cover all the content in the game. So it's perfect in that regard, and it's just like a very well-balanced ability. And perhaps the most important thing is that Virulence is energy, or has the capability to be energy neutral, right? This energy refund on hit, and it does it in a way that rewards you for playing the Warframe skillfully, and that makes it easier to go up against more challenging content, okay? So base cost of 40 energy, 10 energy refund on hit, so if you hit 4 enemies, the ability doesn't cost any energy, although you do need a base 40 available to cast it. Since you cast it, you lose the energy, and then you get it back on hit. Okay, now if you hit fewer enemies, right, you don't get the full refund amount. So it rewards you for aiming well and hitting a crowd of enemies. It rewards you for playing at a level where there is a crowd of enemies to hit, right? And it scales up to this point where if there's so many enemies everywhere that you could easily hit 4, you can just spam it non-stop and not have a problem hitting 4 enemies. Now, I have to mention Parasitic Link a little bit because it has a synergy with Parasitic Link. And I'm actually going to call it a combo, right? Because this sort of combination is what the Warframe community refers to as a forced synergy, or use some other like derogatory terms to refer to it whenever they don't like it. And when they do like it, they call it a synergy. A great example is Oberon's armor. If you cast your regen buff on someone who's standing on hollowed ground, you get armor, right? So people were calling that, like, this was like tons of top Reddit posts, lots of posts on the forums. Everybody's calling it a forced synergy. What it is it's a combo, right? You combine 2 abilities and you get a bonus for combining them, right? A direct mechanical bonus. It's a combo. That's what we call that in a lot of other games. Probably a good example might be Guild Wars. We have actual like abilities. If you use if you use an ability that already has some other effect on an enemy that already has some other effect on them, you get a bonus damage or a bonus effect, like it's stunning the enemy, that sort of thing, right? It's a combo. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use for all such abilities. Let's try to use that for all such abilities in the future, but there's possibly combos that aren't very rewarding, and that's certainly a bad thing. But you know, it's not like this inherently terrible thing that you have 2 abilities that work together in some way or give you some bonus. And I really like the bonus that Parasitic Link gives you, because it builds on what Virulence already does in being a skill shot, in rewarding you for playing effectively and smart, and just being good at the Warframe in a way that I feel like, you know, I mean, Warframe it is a casual game. It's supposed to be a low skill game, but I think it's really well designed in the sense that it can reward you for being really good at this. At the same time, Nidus isn't a hard Warframe to play. He's probably one of the easier Warframes to play, actually. So it's like this just hits this great spot of being very appropriate for a casual friendly game, and at the same time making you feel good about getting better at using the ability. And just even though it's a fairly simple ability. Now, all that rambling on, I didn't tell you what it does. So, of course, if you link an enemy with Parasitic Link, Virulence will shoot out from that enemy as well, aiming towards the point where you're casting your primary Virulence at. And so you can create these like overlapping fields of fire and hit a whole ton of enemies with just one cast, and it's just super effective. Doubles the effectiveness of Virulence if you use it correctly, possibly even more than doubles it, and you can kind of vary its bonus effectiveness depending on the situation. You can hit certain enemies 2 times, and you can also hit a wider area of enemies, right? Okay, so very cool, very good. Yeah, it's just really awesome. And I'm going to show you how effective this is. It's been a while since I've played Nidus, honestly, although he's my most formed Warframe at 6 Forma. All right, I can't go back in there because I've maxed out my stacks on my ability. So we got some Bombards. They're level 100, or not Bombards, Ard Heavy Gunners, level 100. So these guys are pretty tough. I usually test against 130s, but I wanted to do a little test with my with invulnerability off, and you can survive actually as Nidus against those enemies of that level, but it's pretty challenging. So as you can see, I'm doing okay here, and then if I ultimate, I'm still losing some HP once they really get into me, but not too quickly, right? These guys actually have insanely high DPS if they're focus firing you and you just stand there like that. You may remember from some of my Saren content, you definitely cannot do that on with Saren against even lower level enemies than that. You have to jump around a lot, but she can survive up to level 130 enemies if you really jump around. Probably the most important part I didn't really remark on is I killed all those guys in just a second there with Virulence. Easy peasy, no lemons, easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, let's add let's do some easier enemies, right? Some Drak Masters, right? Let's just add in 19 of these guys. I'm still linked to that other guy, but whatever. All right, so this is just fun because it adds a lot of guys to the game. So these guys aren't super tough, right? But they're level 100, you know, give me a break. And, oh boy, they still hurt me pretty badly. Look at that. A bunch of them are fucking dead already. Okay. Let's link something in there. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Everything's fucking dying. See, he's got... Oh, man, I could really just rave about every ability on this Warframe because they're all so great. Like, he has a CC ability that it's like one of the few CC abilities that's still amazingly good in current Warframe because it groups enemies together for you to kill them better, and so many CC abilities prevent that, or at the very least do nothing to help you group enemies, whereas enemies left to their own devices will kind of group up and move towards you, which is more convenient than if you CC'd them. So yeah, it's very nice. But as you can see, really high damage, even against these guys. These guys have full armor. I'm not making use of it, but I'm actually running, let me show you my mod build, and I think we'll call it good for here. Well, should I show off some more kills? Let's make me invulnerable again really quick here and do one more test of like the damage effectiveness, okay? Like I said, just like he is significantly more tanky than Saren, so I could survive against these guys if I really just jumped the fuck around all the time. But I don't want to do that. It's not very good for just like showing off how much damage something deals. Hence the invulnerability. All right, so, 3,000. It's not like crazy high, actually, against these guys. They have so much armor. Let's link up someone. Let's suck them all in. I shoot a little bit to get growing power going and spam this out. And the damage is, it's good. It's not great, obviously, because these guys have so much armor. I don't have any armor strip whatsoever, but I'm still killing them, and it's still a very wide AoE. And of course, he is pretty resistant. He has good squad help, utility. He's got other things. But the point is that Virulence is this one ability, a Warframe ability that often isn't considered too useful, and it's just a straight nuke, and it scales really well into late game content. And, if you actually, bring some squad members, you've got some corrosive projections, you swap out your growing power for that, for this high-level content, and you won't have a problem killing these guys. And, of course, versus lower-level enemies, it's extremely effective. And so that's what I think. I think it's just really it's very well-balanced, it's very well-designed. It rewards things that you want to reward in the player and not things you don't want to reward from the player, right? And so it's perfect in a lot of ways in that way. I love this Warframe for a lot of other reasons. Really cool aesthetic. Just generally very comfy to play because he's got a decent base armor. I have one of these where I don't really want to... all right, fuck it. Fuck off Steel Fiber. It's got this nice 450 base armor. It's not like super high. I would say like 600 is the base armor where it starts like really giving you a lot of bang for your buck when you equip Steel Fiber. Because I think, what is it? I think it's every 300 armor effectively doubles your base HP, right? So like if you have 1000 HP and you go from 0 armor to 300 armor, you effectively have 200 EHP and so on. I can't remember if that's exactly correct, but I believe that's how it works out with the calculations in Warframe. So when you have like that 600, right, and you double it, steel fiber is a little bit more than doubling it, but say, you know, it's doubling it, that means that you're getting like 2 times your base HP added on for equipping steel fiber, and so it becomes like really good value combined with vitality. But he does have a very high base HP as well, and so with the 450 armor, it's like close enough that it's actually quite good. He's got that really high base HP, and then of course, you know, let's look at his abilities again really quick here. Parasitic Link gives you that damage reduction with mods. You get it to 90%, and that's why he's actually much more tanky than Inaros is actually, as well as having, you know, base align or regeneration, and his ultimate, which can give him more regeneration. So there's that too. So this is the build I was using for this. This is kind of what I like to play with: low duration, low efficiency, some range, and a ton of power strength. I don't know if it's necessarily the most effective build. Probably maybe something a little bit different would be better with not quite as much power strength, maybe ditch blind rage or ditch transient fortitude and just like swap on like prime continuity, because you probably just don't really need quite so much power strength, especially with how his abilities scale. It's not really necessary, but I enjoy it, so you know, take that for what you will. Probably the prime continuity instead. Just like a huge shift in duration, very handy with to get more out of your ultimate, very handy to get more out of your link. Yeah, but another thing to keep in mind, I should probably mention really quick here while I'm on the topic of this guy, is that I don't have a build for it, but going negative duration and really high range can be good with your 2, because you can't without a faction or an augment mod, you can't pop your 2. So you could get the augment mod, but you can also go very low duration. You just cast it, it sucks everything in, and then it wears off a couple seconds later. That's actually kind of effective. So looks like they're bugging me because there was a hot fix, which I'm gonna have to go look at the patch notes for. But yeah, I think that Virulence is just super well designed. Overall, amazing Warframe. Highly recommend him. If you haven't grinded for him yet, I would say you should go do that, because he's just so much fun to play, and just so well designed. And yeah, that's all for now. And if you like this content, you want to see more like it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Yakri out.